Henry Moore, 1898 to 1986, stands as one of the most influential and innovative sculptors of the 20th century, celebrated for his monumental abstractions and his profound engagement with the human figure and the natural world. Born in Castleford, Yorkshire, Moore grew up amid the industrial landscapes of northern England, where he first encountered the interplay of organic forms and mechanical structures, an interplay that would resonate throughout his mature work. After serving in the First World War, he studied at the Leeds School of Art and then at the Royal College of Art in London, where he absorbed both classical traditions and the avant-garde currents sweeping Europe. Early in his career, Moore traveled extensively in France, Italy, and Greece, where he encountered the ancient carvings of Cycladic and non-European cultures. Deeply inspired by these archaic forms, particularly their abstraction of the human body into simplified, archetypal shapes, he began to distill the figure into smooth, sensuous volumes punctuated by voids and hollows. These pierced forms, as Moore called them, created a dynamic dialogue between mass and space, solid and void, intimating an inner life and universal human experience. Through the 1930s and 1940s, as Europe confronted war and upheaval, Moore's work took on a more somber, monumental character. His wartime drawings of Londoners sheltering in the underground reveal his acute empathy for human vulnerability. After the war, he returned to large-scale bronzes and direct carvings in stone, often sited in public parks, university campuses, and urban plazas, thereby redefining the relationship between sculpture and landscape. Moore's work is distinguished by its masterful handling of materials, bronze, marble, and wood, and by its ability to evoke both the corporeal and the cosmic. His reclining figures, mother and child groups, and abstract totems resonate with an elemental harmony, suggesting birth, growth, and regeneration. By processing tactile, natural forms through a modernist lens, Moore forged a visual language that speaks to shared human concerns, memory, mortality, and our enduring connection to the earth. His legacy endures not only in museums and public installations worldwide but also in the ongoing influence his ideas exert on contemporary practice, making Henry Moore a towering figure in the history of modern art.
Henry Moore occupies a singular place in the history of modern sculpture. Born on July 30, 1898, in Castleford, a coal mining town in Yorkshire, England, he was the eldest of 7 children in a working-class family. His father, Raymond Spencer Moore, was a coal miner who had taught himself wood carving in his spare time. This early exposure to carved forms and to the rugged landscapes of northern England would leave an enduring mark on Moore's sensibility. In 1917, after a brief stint as a teacher, Moore enlisted in the British Army during World War I and spent much of his service convalescing from illness in Lloyd's Hospital, London. The experience of injury, recovery, and the communal solidarity of the wounded left him profoundly aware of human vulnerability, a theme that recurs in his later depictions of sheltering and embracing forms. After the war, Moore won a scholarship to the Leeds School of Art, 1919 to 1921, where he excelled in drawing and modelling. He then continued his studies at the Royal College of Art in London, 1921 to 1924, where he encountered both classical sculpture and the burgeoning European avant-garde. Exposure to works by Pablo Picasso and Constantin Brancusi prompted him to pursue abstraction, but he never abandoned the human figure, choosing instead to distill it into archetypal, elemental shapes. During the late 1920s and early 1930s, Moore traveled extensively throughout Europe, visiting France, Italy, Greece, and North Africa, absorbing the monumental quality of Cycladic and Iberian statues, as well as Gothic architectural details. These journeys inspired his reclining figure series, begun in 1929, in which the human form is simplified into smooth, rhythmic volumes pierced by negative space. Moore's introduction of voids, holes through solid mass, became one of his most distinctive innovations. With the outbreak of World War II, Moore was appointed an official war artist by the British government. His sketches of Londoners sheltering in underground stations revealed his empathy and his ability to capture the drama of human experience in charcoal and pencil. These works gained him international recognition and set the stage for his post-war monumental sculptures. In the late 1940s and 1950s, Moore received a series of public commissions in the United Kingdom and abroad. His large bronze works, such as Reclining Figure, 1951, and Family Group, 1950, were sited in open plazas, reflecting his belief that sculpture should inhabit communal spaces and be accessible to all. He also carved directly into materials such as marble and elm wood, exploring the innate qualities of each medium. Moore's career was marked by numerous honors. He was awarded the Order of Merit, OM, in 1963, elected to the Royal Society, and received honorary degrees from universities around the world. He established the Henry Moore Foundation in 1977, donating his Yorkshire estate and collection to support future generations of artists and scholars. Throughout his life, Moore remained deeply attuned to the natural world. His forms, though abstract, echo the curves of hills, the hollows of stones, and the internal structure of bones. He saw sculpture as a dialogue between form and space, between the artist's hand and the material's resistance. Henry Moore died on August 31, 1986, leaving behind a legacy of more than 500 sculptures, countless drawings, tapestries, and prints. Today, his works can be found in major public collections worldwide, and his influence endures in the work of contemporary sculptors who continue to explore the relationship between abstraction, nature, and the human figure. Moore's lifelong commitment to making art for public enjoyment and his pioneering integration of sculpture and landscape affirm his status as one of the 20th century's most important and beloved artists.
So my name's Jeremy. I'm information assistant at the Henry Moore Studios and Gardens. So you wanted to know the difference between stone carving and casting in bronze. Quite simply, stone carving, you have a big block of stone, or it might be wood, and you are carving with hammer and chisel to make the image. Casting in bronze is something different. That's a building up process. So you would make an original, generally out of a material called plaster of Paris. This is plaster of Paris here. It's a powdery substance. You would make what is called an armature. So you make a simple frame, and then you're mixing plaster up in a bucket, and you're layering it on, and you keep building it up until you make something that looks like this. These are then cast in bronze, and they are always cast in editions, so there's always more than one. So even if it comes from the maquette stage, they will be cast in bronze. These are called working models, they are cast in bronze, and the full-size pieces, which we call monumental pieces, are also cast in bronze. There's always more than one. If you look at a few of the plinths, which is the flat base, sometimes in the corner it will have Henry Moore's signature, and it might have a number, which might say 0/3. That means that 4 are cast, 3 are sold, and the artist always keeps a 0 copy. So later in life, Henry Moore was rich enough to be able to keep a 0 copy of each piece that he produced. So that's how the collection here is really made up of these 0 copies of Henry Moore's. Henry Moore set up the Henry Moore Foundation in 1977 when he was 79 years of age, all thinking that he wouldn't be here forever. He wanted to leave a body of work in one place so that it could continue to tour the world and be exhibited around the world. If he'd have died and left it in a will to his wife, she would have had to have paid what are called death duties, or a tax on death, which would have meant some of the collection would have to have been sold off. Then when his wife Irina died, the work would have been inherited by their daughter Mary. She would have had to have paid death duties. And so to avoid that, to keep a body of work together, he set up a foundation. And on January the 1st, 1977, every piece of work that was unsold, January the 1st, 1977, he gave to his own foundation. He subsequently didn't die in 1977, he died in 1986, so he did quite a lot of work between 1977 and 1986, and those pieces are also owned by the foundation. The house he did leave to his daughter, but she didn't live in it. She had her own house, and because it was an old house, it sort of fell into disrepair. So in 2004, she sold it to the Henry Moore Foundation. So the foundation own the house now and all the grounds that surround it. The foundation had to do a lot of restoration on the house between 2004 and 2007, and it was actually opened to the public in 2007. He moved here in 1940, and he stayed here until his death in 1986. So in 1940, he was living in Hampstead in North London, but the Second World War had started, the Blitz had started in London, a bomb had gone off damaging Henry Moore's flat and studio in North London, so he came to stay with a friend of his who lived near here, and he liked it so much that he decided to rent a little house, Hoglands, in the grounds here for a year. In 1941, the owner decided to sell the house and Henry Moore bought it. He just sold a large elmwood carving to a British collectible Gordon Onslow Ford for £300, which provided the deposit on the house. He bought the whole house in 1941 for £900 and stayed here for the rest of his life. He loved it. He did extend the house at a certain point. He had a big art collection and he wanted to display it fully, so he extended the house to house his own personal art collection, and that's the collection you can still see in the house today. The contents of the house, however, are owned by Henry Moore's daughter Mary, except for the Henry Moore pieces, which are owned by the Henry Moore Foundation. I think the foundation owns a collection of about 600 pieces. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's about 600 pieces. That's maquettes, small models, working models, and the monumental pieces. So the foundation has an enormous collection. And in the grounds, we always display about 25, 26 pieces from their own collection. Some of those will go off for exhibition elsewhere sometimes, and others will come in and take their places. So there are always about 26, 27, but they're not always the same pieces. When he died, in his will, he said no more work will be done on any of my pieces. So any works which were unfinished, and you can see a couple of them. There's one in the Yellow Brick Studio, one of his unfinished works, a piece called Seated Woman. But no work will be done on any of his pieces from there on. We do a little bit of repair work in the restoration studios, but no works of his can be produced. He took his lesson from Rodin, who died, I think, about 1914, but they were still casting Rodins in the mid-1960s. So Henry Moore didn't want to get into that situation. So all works on his pieces stopped when he died in 1986.
Henry Moore's creative oeuvre is distinguished by a sustained exploration of human form, landscape, and the interplay of mass and void, yielding a body of work that remains both deeply personal and universally resonant. Across more than 6 decades, Moore developed a visual language rooted in abstraction yet continually referencing the human figure, family relationships, and the natural world. Moore's early works in the 1920s and 1930s reveal his grounding in figurative sculpture and his absorption of classical and non-Western precedents. Influenced by ancient Cycladic idols, Iberian stone carvings, and Gothic architectural ornament, he began to simplify the figure into gently rounded volumes. His maiden effort, Reclining Figure, 1929, reduces a prone human form to interlocking shapes that alternate solidity and hollow, prefiguring his lifelong interest in pierced sculpture. During this period he also produced small-scale terracottas and bronze maquettes, testing compositional ideas in tactile, experimental formats. Moore's signature innovation emerged through his deliberate introduction of holes, fully carved openings, into sculptural mass. By puncturing his bronzes and stones, he activated negative space as an integral element of form. Works such as two-piece Reclining Figure No. 1, 1950, and Oval with Points, 1968-70, demonstrate how voids can animate a continuous surface, allowing light and environment to penetrate and transform the sculpture. This dialectic of interior and exterior creates a dynamic relationship between object and setting that invites viewers to move around, through, and within the work. Throughout his career, Moore revisited themes of nurturing and protection. His mother and child groups, ranging from intimate bronzes to monumental public commissions, explore the bond between parent and offspring as an archetype of human connection. In Family Group, 1949-50, he positions 3 abstracted figures in close embrace, their rounded forms suggesting both vulnerability and strength. During and after World War II, Moore's drawings of Londoners sheltering in underground stations deepened his empathy for communal resilience. This spirit carried over into sculptures such as shelter drawings and later into the protective curves of works like Hill Arches series. Moore's ambition extended beyond the trophy-like sculpture to works in direct dialogue with their environments. He carved large stones on the coast of Orkney and on his Yorkshire estate, letting the inherent qualities of rock and wood guide his forms. Public commissions, such as large two-piece reclining figure at UNESCO headquarters in Paris or knife-edge two-piece at Princeton, reflect his belief that sculpture belongs in shared spaces, parks, plazas, university quads, where art and life intersect. Moore often sketched site plans and studied topography before proposing a form, ensuring his sculptures would feel as though they belonged to the earth rather than imposed upon it. While celebrated for his bronzes, Moore embraced a variety of materials: marble, limestone, elm, oak, and concrete, each offering distinct tactile and visual properties. In direct carvings such as draped reclining figure, 1957–58, in travertine, he carved directly with chisels and mallets, revealing the striations and grain of the stone. His wooden carvings, often of mother and child or reclining forms, reveal sensuous curves and tool marks that underscore the hand of the maker. The metal casting process allowed for multiple editions and larger scales, facilitating Moore's ambition to place works in international venues. Parallel to his three-dimensional practice, Moore produced an extensive corpus of drawings, prints, tapestries, and even lithographs. His wartime charcoal drawings capture Londoners huddled on platform benches, rendered with energetic linework and deep tonal contrasts. In tapestry designs, Moore translated his sculptural rhythms into woven forms, collaborating with British mills to create large-scale wall hangings that paralleled his public commissions in scale and presence. Henry Moore's creativity lies in his ability to harmonize abstraction with visceral humanity. By distilling forms to their elemental volumes, by carving through mass to reveal interior space, and by integrating his sculptures into landscape and architecture, he redefined the possibilities of modern sculpture. His work endures as a testament to the power of simplified form, the eloquence of negative space, and the universal resonance of human connection.
In the final analysis, Henry Moore's achievement lies in his ability to translate the ineffable qualities of the human spirit and the natural world into timeless, tactile form. Across a career spanning more than 6 decades, he continually reinvented the language of sculpture, merging abstraction and figuration, solidity and void, to create works that invite both physical engagement and contemplative reflection. His pierced and reclining figures, monumental yet sensuous, convey a universal humanity. They are at once personal embodiments of shelter and nurture and archetypal symbols of resilience and renewal. Moore's dedication to integrating sculpture with its setting, whether in a windswept park, a university quadrangle, or an urban plaza, transformed public art. By placing large-scale bronzes and carved stones in communal spaces, he redefined viewers' experience of mass and landscape, encouraging people to walk around, touch, and inhabit the sculptural form. This democratization of art, grounded in his belief that sculpture should speak to everyone regardless of background, has left an indelible mark on how contemporary artists conceive of sight, scale, and audience. Moreover, Moore's continual experimentation with materials, from English alabaster to exotic woods, from cast bronze to concrete, demonstrated an unceasing curiosity and reverence for the raw qualities of his mediums. He drew inspiration from nature's rhythms, pebble-worn hollows, bone fragments, and the undulations of terrain, filtering these forms through a modernist sensibility to produce works that feel at once ancient and radically new. As an educator and public figure, Moore championed the importance of art in post-war reconstruction and international cultural exchange. His charitable bequests of studio, archive, and sculpture parks ensured that successive generations could study his methods and be inspired by his vision. Ultimately, Henry Moore's legacy is one of humanism in form, a reminder that sculpture can be both monumental and intimate, rooted in earth yet reaching toward the transcendent. His pioneering synthesis of figure, abstraction, and environment continues to resonate in the public realm and in the studios of artists who follow, affirming his place as a defining voice in the story of modern art.